What's happening, friends? Welcome to the 318th edition of Unlocked. It is the world's #1 Xbox show for October already. October 18th, the heart of the Q4 season. But the news is goes much deeper than that this week. Coming up on this week's edition of Unlocked, we're going to be sort of digging into the big EA news this week. You may have heard about it. Visceral getting shut down, Amy Hennig's Star Wars project being redistributed and reshaped, as it were. So there's a lot to chew on there. Plus, the Master Chief Collection is back. He thought it was kind of all done, nail in the coffin, no more updates. Well, 343 is going to continue work on it, so we'll talk more about that. Plus, everything coming out this week in the Marketplace Report and more. So if you enjoyed the podcast, remember, we've got a YouTube channel now with not only every episode of the show, but some unlocked plays where we sit down with the both new and classic Xbox games. Check that out at youtube.com/IGN Unlocked. I'm Ryan McCaffrey, Destin Legary.
Hey, everybody.
He of the trivia obsession.
I really want to
win.
Really want to win.
We'll see how the end of the show goes with the trivia question this week.
I haven't even looked at the question yet.
We'll see.
That's how confident Marty is.
That's how confident I am. Yeah, playing it pure. Yep.
Marty sleeve on.
He doesn't even need to hear the question. He'll tell you the answer.
Yeah, it's probably D.
And I'm very pleased to also be joined this week by Damon Hatfield.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you here.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, indeed. So, by the way, you'll notice we got cool guys wear black. We got the Johnny Cash thing going, and then what happened? You didn't get the memo, Destin?
About the ironing? I didn't iron my shirt today.
Well, now that you bring it up.
Yeah.
I do like that shirt, though, Destin.
It is.
That's a good
nice
one.
shirt.
Yeah.
See, this is why you should watch the show, because
I
you can see his shirt.
Marty's jacket,
We got
too.
good jackets, too?
No dog this week, but
No dog. Yeah, there was a nice dog last week.
what can you do? Let's get right into it, guys, and that is the Visceral situation. If you have not heard, EA has decided to close Visceral Games. They of Dead Space, the Dead Space franchise. They also did Battlefield Hardline and had been working on the publicly untitled Star Wars project that was going to be in the vein of Uncharted, led by Amy Hennig, who, of course, worked on Uncharted, wrote it. So here's the thing, though. The game, this isn't just it's not a cancellation, number one, and it's not your average studio closure or reshuffling. This is a very sort of multi-layered, bizarre scenario. So the game will no longer be a linear single-player action-adventure game anymore. Amy Hennig is almost certainly not going to work on it, but maybe not even going to be at EA. EA following up a request for IGN comment and telling us we're in discussions with Amy about her next move. So her future seems to be publicly up in the air here. And the game is pushed out of the vague release date of fiscal 2019 that it had. So, Damon, if you would be so kind as to stand in for Patrick Soderlund here.
Okay, yeah.
Put a blog post up, which I've got an excerpt here. This is EA's very interesting explanation for this.
Yeah, you want me to read this whole thing?
Please.
All right, stick with me. This is this long.
It's a hot chunk.
On page, right. This is Patrick Sutherland. Our Visceral Studio has been developing an action-adventure title set in the Star Wars universe. In its current form, it was shaping up to be a story-based, linear adventure game. Throughout the development process, we have been testing the game concept with players, listening to the feedback about what and how they want to play, and closely tracking fundamental shifts in the marketplace. It has become clear that to deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come, we needed to pivot the design. We will maintain the stunning visuals, authenticity in the Star Wars universe, and focus on bringing a Star Wars story to life. Importantly, we are shifting the game to be a broader experience that allows for more variety and player agency, leaning into the capabilities of our Frostbite engine and reimagining central elements of the game to give players a Star Wars adventure of greater depth and breadth to explore. This move leads to a few other changes. A development team from across EA Worldwide Studios will take over development of this game, led by a team from EA Vancouver that has already been working on the project. Our Visceral Studio will be ramping down and closing, and we're in the midst of shifting as many of the team as possible to other projects and teams at EA. Lastly, while we had originally expected this game to launch late in our fiscal year 2019, we're now looking at a new timeframe that we will announce in the future.
Marty, can you translate this executive speak into English.
We do not want to make a single-player $60 game that lasts 10 hours, and we want to make Destiny. And Amy Hennig did not want to make Destiny.
Thank you.
Yep.
That is exactly what this translates into.
Type that into Google Translate, and that's what comes up.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I think you've got a future in this, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of insane. Like this boggles my mind. That they would shutter the studio, because Visceral of EA's proper
Dead Space
studios,
is so good.
Yeah, Dead Space is incredible, and Battlefield Hardline was pretty well received. Like the fact that they're shuttering this brand that has brand recognition, and then
that they built up internally. They took years to build.
Well, and the thing about EA Vancouver, we were all like, "What did they make?" And they're like, "Oh, they make FIFA,
the sports game.
They make sports.
Some of the sports games."
Yeah, this is a ton to unpack.
We should point out that even before Dead Space, this was EA Redwood Shores.
Yes.
It was rebranded to Visceral, I think, after the release of Dead Space. So they actually have a much longer history than just Dead Space.
Yeah. This is, it totally came as a surprise, obviously, but the more we thought about it, the more it sort of just made sense in terms of where the industry is going. Like we say it on the show all the time, like there are so few single-player AAA games now released that just don't have some sort of multiplayer or some sort of online or some sort of, you can also pay to do this.
Right. You got Nintendo making those games. You've got Sony first party making a lot of those games. You've got Bethesda really championing those games as well.
What
about the end of the list.
What about Warner Brothers? Do we?
You know what? I'll give Warner Brothers with Shadow of War. I mean, sure.
I mean,
Injustice and Mortal Kombat have sort of an esports, tournament quality,
and
to
they
them.
have
They're
a
fighting
story.
games, but they do have a great story mode, and then the Arkham games too.
Yeah, but Shadow of War,
free of all that.
Shadow of War is also, you can spend a lot more than $60. That's
true.
Shadow of War.
Yeah, but it is still a single player.
I'll give
experience.
I'll give you WB.
Yeah.
What about Ubisoft? Assassin's Creed Origins is still a single player.
I guess
game.
Ubisoft they've got a pretty they've got a pretty balanced
They do.
portfolio,
I mean,
right?
they have their
got
games of service.
Yeah, they've got the Rainbow Six Sieges and the For Honors, and then the open world stuff, the Assassin's Creeds. But they also have the South Parks of the world and some of the other.
South Park's going to have story add-ons. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they announced the season pass this week.
Yeah,
totally
we'll see if it's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was kind of I don't know, surprised by this, especially because Battlefront 2 actually is promoting that they have this story campaign that they're adding onto the experience.
Right.
It feels like the answer would have been just to add a multiplayer component to what Hennig was working on.
Yeah, I mean,
on paper.
That's like we were just talking about
Uncharted
Shadow of War. There is a way to add microtransactions to that style of game and not ruin the single player experience. I think.
Yeah.
Now,
so it's strange that they're just like, nope, kill it all.
How I'm interpreting this as to me, this is EA basically saying that selling 5 million copies of a one and done game isn't enough.
I mean, that
isn't
in
enough.
2017 that doesn't pay the bills, which
is a horrifying red flag for the entire AAA games industry. If that's the
scary.
case, yeah. I mean, that's if we can't get games like that anymore because the money doesn't make sense, where are we going to get them?
I almost wonder if we're going to have this whole AAA branch that makes games like this, games as a service, we'll call it, where you're constantly getting loot boxed or something else, collector's edition, that's an additional revenue stream. And then like the indie scene is just going to be like, hey, I made this game, and that industry will be built up a little bit more.
Maybe we're already seeing that, and we don't even quite realize it with the Witnesses and the Firewatches of the world sort of coming in to fill that single player, no online hooks at all kind of gap.
I mean, that's the thing, though, is like we talk about this a lot, is that games are cheaper now than ever. Games are $60. Like when I was a kid, Super Nintendo games and Sega Genesis games, I spent like $85, $90 on some of them. And the fact is, if you don't have other means to add on to that $60, whether it be season passes or whether it be microtransactions, like unless you are GTA, which GTA obviously does have a ton in online, but unless you are a game that will sell that much, then you aren't going to be able to afford to keep the lights on, which is just a sad reality of how expensive AAA games are to make now.
Yeah, it makes me nervous for a game like Lawbreakers, Cliff Bleszinski's new title that had like 10 concurrents, like very, very low concurrent numbers. And like that makes me nervous.
On PC, we don't, to be fair, the PS4 numbers aren't public. It could be doing fine over there, but certainly your point's taken nevertheless.
You see somebody like that take a chance and then it doesn't go well. It's dangerous.
It is. Yeah. Now, I mean, this doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to turn this into Destiny Star Wars Edition, but it also doesn't mean they're not going to do that. Because EA, they already have Anthem in the works at BioWare. That's an IP they own.
Fantastic.
They don't have to license that from Lucasfilm. The one thing I keep coming back to is there were a lot of hot takes on the internet yesterday. I'm glad we kind of got to sleep on this before coming to sit down on the show. And this, Damon, I'm glad you could be here for this. Who is to blame for this? And I think it's a shared blame. I don't think there is any one entity or person to point the finger at.
Patrick.
You know, is it?
Solve that one.
All right. Well, let's see you next week, guys. That was so easy. Thanks, Destin. But EA, Visceral themselves, and the other one that I know I'm going to get angry tweets about, are gamers partially to blame for this as well? Are we part of the problem here?
Well, certainly the internet will. The internet's gut reaction will be against EA,
Right.
and this certainly doesn't help the. What is it? The story that EA is the worst company in America.
Their slogan is for
You're
the
back.
players.
I know.
Yeah.
We're back, everybody.
But like, there could have been, who knows what was happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
This game had been in development at least 4.5 years, and we had seen virtually nothing of it. So we, in hindsight, we probably should have known that something was wrong. Maybe the game, wasn't coming together. Maybe it just wasn't fun. Maybe it was like generic. There could have been any sort of problems happening on the game. But what's interesting to me is that their messaging about it was just that it was turning into a linear single-player experience. Like, that's what they chose to communicate?
Yeah.
Like, what? There's no problem with it. You didn't list any negatives.
Yeah.
The keywords to me in the Patrick Soderlund statement that you so beautifully read were when this is the corporate speak that I keyed right in on, where he says it was we've been testing the game concept. In other words, hey players, hey teenage youths, will you play yes, thanks Steve Buscemi. Listening to feedback about what and how they want to play, and
Where's my Halloween mask?
And closely tracking fundamental shifts in the marketplace. In other words, what do the kids want?
Yeah.
And that's where I look at, like, are we part of the problem? We collectively as gamers, not literally we at this table, except Destin.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say
part of the problem.
I don't want to say gamers are the problem.
No.
But I think they're probably just looking at the success of Destiny and other games of services, Overwatch, and like
All these games Ubisoft's had with Rainbow
Battlefront
Six.
2.
they're looking.
Yeah.
I guess the counter I would have is Sony's selling on a single platform. Sony's selling millions of copies of Horizon Zero Dawn, a game that, okay, it is open world. I'll give it that. There's an expansion pack coming that's not out yet. But without that, the game as it launched earlier this year has sold millions of copies. Sony's got stuff like Detroit Become Human in the pipeline, Spider-Man, all these single-player driven, story-driven games that don't have any of these hooks, and they've almost all been doing well for Sony this generation. Microsoft's had a few, but even Phil has said they're kind of pivoting going forward now to a more of a games as a service. Not that they won't make single-player games. Rod Ferguson took a sort of a wink, nudge, exception to my tweet on that topic last night. It's like, Gears and Halo, I think, have done they're two of the rare exceptions of AAA games that have done a great job of offering everything, including a great single-player narrative-driven game. But it's, I don't know where we're going here from moving forward.
And it's like EA is a big publisher. When you look at your portfolio, I would think you'd want to diversify.
Yeah.
And so they have their Star Wars multiplayer game with Battlefront. They have Anthem, which is their Destiny-like games of service. Where is their, story-driven Star Wars experience?
With Star
Why
Wars
would you want to make
Republic?
another thing of something you already have?
Yeah.
Yeah, if they said like there was problems with the game or something like that, would be more acceptable, I think, a little bit. But the problem is they didn't talk about any of that. They're just like, it's a single player narrative, like Damon said, and we don't see an issue with that. Like, we like that. And I don't really understand how the idea couldn't be changed into a game like Destiny. Destiny had a campaign that you would play through with your friends in co-op. Like, if that's the experience that you want.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, like stuff like Scalebound and like Crackdown getting delayed, I think this is a much more complicated thing. Obviously, we don't know the
It always
workings.
is.
It's like, I mean, so to take your suggestion, Destin, imagine taking Uncharted and turning that into Destiny, and that sounds a lot more difficult to me, right?
Yeah.
If they were making an Uncharted-like Star Wars game, just turning it into a Destiny-like game doesn't seem that easy.
I mean, that seems
to
like
me.
you have to rebuild from the ground up.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a Shadow of War.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe.
maybe.
Yeah.
Realistic.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think part of it is like like Damon said, like we saw like literally a GIF length of this game.
We showed it earlier. If you're watching the video
that's
version,
it.
Yeah.
we showed
That's
you
all we
the
saw.
Unless you
extent of the
blinked.
footage
Yeah,
publicly released.
and so you have to imagine that there was just something wasn't working.
Yeah.
Like the game wasn't working.
That would make more sense.
Yeah, and like I've heard for almost a year that one thing EA wants is a Star Wars Destiny game. Like they want Star Wars Destiny. Like they want this game that can live on for several years and that people will keep coming back to week after week for, the same reason people come back to Destiny week after week. And then you'll get the sequel to that game in 3 years. And why that couldn't have just been a separate thing than this, I don't know. But eventually they are looking and they're like, well, we're going to, cut our
I have
losses.
a question on that topic, Marty, because I don't disagree with you in the slightest, but as I recall it, I wish we had a fact checker just working in the back that could feed me things
sure
through
they
an IFB. The EA's Star Wars licensing deal, wasn't it for 10 years?
Yeah.
And didn't it start a good... Because
So-
Battlefront was the first game announced as part of that. Like, as soon as they signed the deal, they were like, we're making Battlefront.
Yeah.
So that would have been, let's see, that was like 2 years before Battlefront, right?
I can take everybody
Please.
back. In May of 2013, Andrew Goldfarb wrote the IGN news story announcing that EA had acquired the Star Wars license for 10 years, and they announced that Visceral was working on this game already. So that was
that
May
was part of the original announcement.
May of 2013. And incidentally, that was 2 or 3 months after we wrote the news story that LucasArts was closing down and canceling 1313.
Right.
Gotcha.
So this game is not coming out in 2019.
No.
Patrick Soderlund has already said. So if it's 2020, maybe even knowing, especially if they're going to increase the complexity of the game, let's say 2021. I guess EA must really be counting on their deal getting renewed with Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
If they're going to be releasing this ultimately at the tail end. If it's a long tail game released at the tail end of a 10-year deal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested in because we're getting Battlefront 2 this year. I would imagine in 2 years we're going to get a Battlefront 3.
Yes.
And then I wonder where that puts Respawn's game, because we know Respawn is working on what we assume is a third-person action.
Well, and then what about
God of War?
Yeah, it's a former God of War director. Yeah.
What about EA Motive?
And so that's
Is that not a Star Wars project?
no, that is so. Motive is working. Motive is doing the single-player campaign of Battlefront. That's where Mitch is. That's what he's writing.
That's what they've.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then Motive is also. I think Jade Raymond also announced that they are doing another non-Star Wars.
I thought they were working on the Amy Hennig game. I could swear that they were. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we like. Maybe it's one of those things like when you beat a Ubisoft game and every studio's credits are there.
Yeah,
because
Rockstar's the same
Yeah,
way
they even
now,
say the
too.
same thing with EA's worldwide studios, with the lead being taken by Vancouver. So yeah, I would imagine everyone's sort of working on everything.
To put it another way, when this game eventually comes out, we could very well be in the midst of another Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah,
Already.
I mean totally. Yeah,
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, this could be about like Rey and Finn's kids. Yeah,
Who knows?
The thing that
Spoilers, everybody.
the thought that occurred to me was, by the time this comes out, what if the whole, shared world shooter Destiny style fad is over?
yeah.
and the industry has already moved on to the next thing. I mean, we're already seeing, not that it's very much still going, but the battle royale
They
thing
should
is
have done
hot now.
They should have announced the Star Wars Battle Royale game.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'd play that.
like a Sarlacc, like a.
I could totally get behind that. Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
That sounds better to me.
yeah.
Oh man,
Mitch, do that.
Mitch.
I don't think. I don't know if he could just make that.
Doesn't need much writing. It's probably an afternoon's work.
Yeah, to write the story for a battle royale game.
Fortnite did it in like a day.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So, I do. I don't think that single player games are dead, as a lot of the sort of hot takes have projected, because clearly that's been said for a while, and it's not true. We're still getting them.
In this year alone, Breath of the Wild, Persona 5, Horizon Zero Dawn, Divinity Original Sin 2, Shadow of War, Assassin's Creed Origins, Wolfenstein 2,
South Park.
Super Mario
Mario,
Odyssey, South Park. Like just this year alone, those are all huge. You probably can't even play all those games unless you
totally.
just dedicated
Yeah.
all your gaming time to just these games.
Yeah.
So it's not like the sky's falling.
No. And also, like, there have been someone tweeted out like the are single player games dying, but links to articles written over the past 10 years.
Yeah, I saw
it was
that
like
too.
February 2010. Are single player games dying?
No, this announcement is a sign of the times. It's a sign of a big shift in the industry and the way games are monetized, but there are still single player games.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna, before I wrap this topic up, this actually makes me want to revisit a topic that I briefly touched on last week. And Damon, now that you're here, I'll get your opinion too. Is should game prices be raised to maybe cut some of this? You know, maybe this game, if game prices were $80, maybe this game can get made as it was.
If it meant getting the full game with no microtransactions, no season pass, I would happily pay $75, maybe $80 for a game. However, you will not get a faster and stronger backlash from gamers than suggesting that they maybe pay more for games.
Yeah.
They will not even entertain the idea.
But what's weird is in 2005, everyone decided that new consoles were coming, starting with the 360.
Yeah.
They all had the heads of the 5 families meeting at at Corleone's house.
Yeah.
And which I guess would be Bobby Kotick.
Yeah, the Michael Corleone. Jesus, the Michael Corleone of the
no.
games industry.
No.
Well, that's not great.
But it just happened. Like between the PS2 and original Xbox generation to the 360 PS3 generation, game prices went up $10.
Yeah.
Like there was a dumb term that I coined that didn't catch on. I'm still mad about it. Called hawkware. That it was
For
hang on for a second. Walk with me on.
Hold on, everybody.
There were some 360 launch games that were also they were games that were cross-platform. They were on original Xbox and the new 360. Gun, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. There might have been one or
Burnout?
two more.
Speed?
That became a tad later,
yeah.
but yes.
Yeah.
what about
But
Peter
were
Jackson's King Kong? Is that
Yeah, King Kong
Yeah.
made the game.
Where
Kong
it was literally the same game. Same game, but in file save as 720p resolution. And it was $10 more.
Yeah.
And I called those games hawkware.
Well,
But
I don't get
because
the
of the
hawk.
bird?
Yeah. What's the
well,
hawk?
like shovelware or shareware.
Yeah, but
Tony, it's named for Tony Hawk.
Oh,
gotcha.
Dr.
The Pro
Anthony.
Skater
now I
game.
Gotcha.
understand.
Yeah.
Now I
Gotcha.
understand.
You know, I'm
was too
somehow
far to go.
I'm Facebook friends with Tony Hawk, and I don't know how.
You're Facebook friends with the Tony
with
Hawk?
actual Tony Hawk, and he'll like
Who
post,
friended
like,
who?
I don't remember. Why would I have done that? But I've never met him. Like, I enjoy Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, but I am certainly not a skateboarding fan.
He's a
Three
big
or
Every
Hawk
once in a
fan.
while, it'll just be like, here's my birthday party, and I'm like, what?
Tony Hawk 3 or 2?
I'm a 3 guy. That was the one where Darth
I think
Maul was in
I'm-
it.
I think I'm more of a 2 guy,
Two.
but I
Yeah,
like
go
3
two,
also.
yeah.
The original.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, those first 3, man.
Remember Tony Hawk 5?
one of my-
Underground.
One of my
The original
first
or
ever-
underground?
One of the first ever behind closed doors demos I had. Like I guess it was either my first or second E3 in the industry. I was seeing whatever that year's Tony Hawk game was in the little cramped meeting room in the booth.
Yeah.
Tony gave the demo himself. Like he was not just a
You could
figure.
have got in that friends list.
I know. I should have.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I was on Facebook at that point.
I don't know.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, Dan Stapleton, our reviews editor, put out a tweet yesterday where he went to some tool online and I guess with inflation, $60 in 2005, I think was the year he used. In 2005 money is $75 today.
And if you look at the replies to his tweet, you'll see a very simple demonstration of what I
Yeah.
was describing.
Well, that's social media. I guess maybe that's the difference. Is in 2005 when the heads of the 5 families raised game prices by $10.
Yeah,
there was no
couldn't-
Twitter.
You couldn't dox
There
them.
was
Yeah.
no Twitter.
Twitter's the problem.
With a lot of things, honestly, Twitter is the problem, if I'm being real.
So we'll see. Very, very sad for what was hopefully going to be a good game, but for all we know, maybe it was problematic and maybe it wasn't working.
Yeah.
But still, you were making the point before we got on the air, Marty, before we move to the next topic, is Amy Hennig has had a bit of a rough go as as far as outputting games. in
Hasn't
the last
shipped a game since Uncharted 3.
Yeah, and so she was co-writing Uncharted 4, and then obviously there was the whole drama with her departure from Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
And so that we know that the Uncharted 4 that came out, amazing game, but that was not her on Uncharted. That was Neil and Bruce's Uncharted. And then same thing with this game. Whatever this game turns out to be will not be her Star Wars game. So for the past 6 years of her career, to have both of the projects she was working on sort of taken away from her is pretty wild. I mean, assuming they don't bring her over to EA Vancouver, which sounds like it's still a possibility, but I doubt it.
My pure guess would be that they're sort of respectfully giving her the option of like, hey, do you want to stay on and try and figure something else out, or do you want to, walk away on your terms?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. A few people tweeted at me, and I can't necessarily disagree outside of the whole thing that where Phil Spencer was like, we're kind of moving towards the games as a service thing. People were like, Phil should pick up the phone and just, hire her, give her a studio and spin up a new first party thing. I mean, that's
it's
a great
so
idea.
easy.
That's a great idea if,
Just find $100 million and do it.
He should absolutely pick up the phone if she ends up a free agent. I mean, you'd be foolish not to. Anybody would be foolish not to pick up the phone to Amy Hennig's representation and see what she's one of the most talented writers and directors in the industry.
Do you think she'll go back to Legacy of Kain?
I hope so. I love that series. I was going to make the reference if you weren't.
I think a lot of people would be excited for a new Legacy of Kain something or other.
I just want to play all those games again.
Yeah.
Such a good series.
All right. Marty.
Yeah.
Not a great week for EA.
No.
Really. In the messaging publicity department.
Yeah.
The long time BioWare veteran, the writer over there, one of the writers, Mike Laidlaw, has departed. He was also design lead as well. Veteran BioWare game designer and senior game director Mike Laidlaw left his position with the company. Laidlaw made the public announcement on his personal Twitter account saying, quote, "It's time for me to move on. Been there for 14 years, chipped in on Mass Effect, but really I think was mostly on Dragon Age stuff."
Yeah. I think he started on Jade Empire.
Sounds right. If it was 14 years ago,
Yeah. There's been, BioWare's had a year.
And they lost Aaron Flynn.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they
Casey
got back
came back.
Casey.
They got
They got
He'll
Casey
run the
back.
studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Laidlaw didn't say where he's going?
No.
What he's doing?
Yeah. Neither did Aaron Flynn. I think it was one of those, we're going to take some time and think about this. I mean, I imagine that after a thing like Mass Effect Andromeda, there's just all right, let's hit the brakes. We need to rethink everything. And obviously Anthem had a really awesome first showing.
Extremely strong.
E3. That being said,
That was your game of the show, though.
Oh, yeah. It looks fantastic. I can't wait to play more or see more. I haven't played it. I meant to say see more.
What if it gets canceled next year?
Oh, my God.
I don't want it to.
Stop.
I didn't
Why would you say
I
that?
don't know because I'm a pessimist.
It looks pretty far along. I mean, if that was live gameplay.
I don't think that game's far along. Or I don't
And
think
I
that
don't
game's
think
coming
it,
out.
and I don't think it was live gameplay either.
Yeah. It looked cool. I thought it looked awesome, but I think we'll possibly be playing that in 2019.
That's probably a fair assertion.
We could start just listing the games that are going to be like Xbox 2 games and PS5. Also, what's the next Xbox going to be called? I don't like this. Are they just going to call it the Xbox 2? What are they going to do? That's a stupid name for
Didn't we
anything.
figure that out last
Xbox
week?
One,
the Y,
too.
the Y, right? See, the
Xbox Y?
Yeah, the
Xbox Y.
the S, the X, and the Y. It's sexy.
They're just going to call it the Xbox.
I thought we were done with this.
Man,
Following that Tesla naming convention.
they really should have just called the 360 the Xbox 2.
They'll just go back to Xbox, Marty.
I don't. What? This is a problem for us to deal with 2 years from now.
Super Xbox One.
I'm a big fan of Super Xbox. Yeah.
I could get down with that.
Yeah.
Trying to bring back the super
Yeah.
nomenclature.
Yeah.
I really do think the successor to the Switch will be the Super Switch.
I mean,
Oh,
genuinely
man,
think
that's
that.
cool sounding.
Super Switch.
Right? Who wouldn't buy that?
Now you're switching
It
with
invokes
power.
When they snap, will it have a sound effect?
It's just A-bomb explosions. Does that mean we have to Super Switch 64?
Reggie just erupts in flames.
Oh, it's too much.
Oh, the sulfur.
Oh man. So yeah, another. I guess BioWare is they're turning over sort of generationally is in that development town. I'm sure there's still plenty of people that have been there for a long time, but their key top leads have.
What if they just made Anthem a Star Wars game? Let's do that.
Leave Anthem alone.
Well, this BioWare news actually made me think of another element that might have influenced EA's decision with this Star Wars game is that EA in particular has been struggling with its single-player experiences. Mass Effect Andromeda earlier this year, Titanfall 2 was really good, but was a disappointment by EA standards.
Well, that's their own damn fault
Well,
for releasing
I'm just
it
saying,
when they did.
I'm just saying it was another instance of a single player experience that
was
faltered.
one of the best single player campaigns.
It was.
Period.
And then Mirror's Edge Catalyst last year also was kind of
that
a
one.
stumble
Yeah,
for them too.
that's-
So
that's bringing up
when you
an
look
old
at
wound.
EA's recent single player games, like they've been struggling to find their hit there.
fair counterpoint. I'm gonna come to their defense a little bit. The single player story modes in Madden and FIFA
Oh yeah,
were
actually,
awesome.
yeah, those
They
are
were,
actually
like,
so that's like
really
weird.
good.
Yeah.
So that's the great irony. Is that
That's what Amy could
sports
work on.
games are getting single player modes now,
Yeah.
and the traditional games are not, are cutting the single player modes out.
2017.
What a time to be alive!
2017 is weird, guys.
Yes,
I don't like
that's
it.
true.
Opposite year.
Opposite year.
Please let this be opposite year.
Hey, did
Everything goes back
Mario
to
Odyssey
normal.
arrive yet?
Yeah, right.
Let's- Oh man. All right. This next one, boy, this is talk about it's like is there a necromancer in the room to have raised this one from the dead? But it's so great. Some major Halo updates on the way, highlighted by the Master Chief Collection getting a new update in the spring, or at least early. I think it's early 2018. Sometime they said so. I'll run through them here. Halo 5, Oddball coming back. How the hell was it ever not there? Love Oddball so much. But Halo 5 getting the 4K update, which they'd previously mentioned. That's coming for Xbox One X. Halo Wars 2 is getting crossplay between Xbox and PC. That's great. And arena support, so users can set up their own tournaments.
That'll be
Great
really
feature.
interesting. Do you think you have an advantage on keyboard and mouse versus controller?
If you were in a head-to-head game,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, if you're
probably.
co-op, so
Definitely.
what?
Like
But-
make your groups faster and everything.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
it's gonna be
the
really
controller works, but in an RT, it's the same thing with a shooter.
Shooter,
It's
yeah.
it's no comparison.
Did keyboard and mouse support ever come for Xbox One?
It's been promised.
people
It's
do
been
it.
promised for a long
People do
time.
it.
I don't think it's. I
No,
don't
A lot of
hasn't-
Destiny players actually play on keyboard and mouse on Xbox specifically. There's a tool you can buy.
Tool.
But official
but
support.
Phil has also been promised that it's going to be an actual update that will allow it.
Yeah, I'm gonna check.
eventually.
Yeah, I mean,
you
yeah,
guys
that's like
fan
furthering,
this.
just like melding the line between PC and Xbox, which is obviously something Microsoft's been trying to do for quite a while.
Yeah.
What's happening? What are you doing?
I'm googling
Oh.
to see if I don't want to be looking.
I was like-
Live Google.
I was like, oh, I thought you just like forgot that like we were doing
No.
the show, and all of a sudden you just started texting people.
Master
oh
Chief
yeah, hey, hang
Collection.
on.
Bunch of cool updates.
I'm blowing up over here. Let's see here. Yeah, confirms they will get it in September. First games with keyboard and mouse support coming soon, September. So I don't think it's out yet.
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
Yeah,
Sounds like it's close,
Yeah.
but not yet.
PUBG, first game,
Maybe.
launches with keyboard and mouse support on
Wouldn't
Xbox.
surprise me.
yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't
I hope-
surprise me.
It's going to be weird playing that game on controller.
On December 31st, 2017, when it
Yeah.
when
Is that your guess?
that's about where I'm at now.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, why not? Happy New Year.
Yeah.
So then we get to the Master Chief Collection. It is getting Xbox One X enhancements, which is fantastic. I might have to play Halo 2 Anniversary again. It looked really, the anniversary treatment they gave to it was was definitely the highlight of that package to me, both on the campaign and the multiplayer side too. The 6 maps that Certain Affinity just redid in a totally, with all the Halo 2 feels, but with the just modern paint job, looked amazing. And as well as, quote, fixes, improvements, and upgrades to the core game to help bring it forward and modernize many of the game's systems to take advantage of Xbox platform advancements since its original launch. While we're incredibly excited by this opportunity to go back under the hood with MCC, it's not going to be easy, nor is it going to happen overnight, says 343. To help facilitate this process, we're planning to roll out a public flighting program for MCC to allow iterative patches and updates while testing in the wild at larger scale. Right now, we're targeting this kickoff next spring. Okay, I was right. And when the time comes, we'll need the support of our community to help test and provide feedback at large scale as we work to update and improve Master Chief Collection. We'll share additional details and timing as plans are locked. Yes, this game should be it should be working perfectly. And I know it's come a long way, but it needs to work right, because then everybody could and should own it.
Yeah.
It's just such a great, on paper, it's the perfect thing.
Yeah.
But it's come such a long way that I even think that we were talking about online people having a loud voice that's not always necessarily grounded in
Reality.
reality. I mean, the reality is Master Chief Collection mostly works. It really does.
Especially today.
But it is fair that the stink that got hung on it when it came out stuck.
Yeah.
It's a real disgusting analogy, but
Yeah, just
had to go with it.
Stink
like
stuff.
a real physical stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know. I thought we hadn't heard anything about Master Chief Collection in so long. I thought for sure the nail was in the coffin.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were like, well, they moved on. They've got other Halo games to make. But here we go. They're cracking it open again and going to hopefully make it even better.
I'm kind of surprised that it's not a day and date thing with the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
Kind of surprised it's next spring.
So I think I can read into this and explain that a little bit. I'm not for sure here, but notice, Marty, that they mentioned, let me find it here. Bring it forward and modernize many of the game systems to take advantage of Xbox platform advancements since its original launch. I think what might have happened, the OS, they've gone to Windows 10 and they've made a lot of changes under the hood to the OS. I'm guessing those sort of underlying system things allow them to probably go in and change some stuff in the code more easily without destroying everything else in the process. So that would be my guess is they probably were waiting on the system update to then, otherwise I'm sure they would have loved to have had it done for November 7th. But yay, I would love to have a good excuse to go back into the Master Chief Collection. And nothing official here, but this just popped this morning actually before we hopped on the air.
I would like this a lot.
Yeah, this you could people will say, "Oh, it's got to be fake," but this image. There's an image that's still on the Xbox server. It is unless I guess can hackers upload things? I don't know, but there's an image on the Xbox.com website. It's not a forward-facing thing, but it's there if you have the URL. And I checked it right before we came on the air. It was still there. It is box art for Master Chief Collection. That it is a cross-buy. It says on top, full game for both Xbox One and Windows 10 PC. So it looks like the Master Chief Collection may be finally getting a PC release, which
that'd be cool.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be super cool. I would love to play that game with keyboard and mouse specifically.
Yeah.
That'd be really, really fun.
Yeah.
I'm playing more and more on PC these days just because the games just look a little bit better. And
Yeah, I mean, hey,
I just built a new rig.
Right.
So
well, that's what they do it. You get
I'm like,
sexy,
ooh, wow, this looks really good. It runs
60
so
frames
smooth.
plus all the time if you got a powerful enough machine. I mean, I would guess if presuming this is true, I would suspect that Windows release will come with that spring update with the 4K stuff and the X enhancements. It would seem like it makes the most sense. Why there's an image of it buried on the Xbox.com server now, if it's not coming out for a little while,
Trying to
be a little odd.
Google the image.
There you go. So if you've been holding out hope that the Master Chief Collection might finally come to PC, you've got some fuel on the fire here. All right, let's go to the marketplace report. Damon Hadfield, great to have you. Let's put that sultry voice to good use.
Here we go.
What can we spend our money on this week? It's that time of year.
For those that like physical copies of games, out in retail, the South Park, The Fractured Butthole is in stores this week. I am in possession of it, but I haven't started it yet.
Put a lot of time into it so far. I like it a lot.
I'm really excited.
Good.
Excited to jump into that. Also out is WWE 2K18.
Wrestle Festival.
Those are the two big retail releases this week.
Or review on IGN.
In the digital marketplace, the fall update for the Xbox One dashboard is out. With the update, players can now personalize their home screen by customizing what they see when they boot up their console. With the addition of blocks, players can add a friend, game, or etc. to their home screen, which can then be moved or discarded at will. The update to home also allows you to have up to 40 pins and adds dark, light, and high contrast theme options.
I found it smoother also.
Yeah?
It seemed to run a little bit better.
great.
Yeah, I
this
was
is
very
all
happy
good.
about that. I've talked about it a lot on the show, how it's a little chuggy for me. So this was nice.
That's cool.
It's gotten faster and faster with every update. And being able to put things where you want, I mean, that's great. I mean, it's exactly what it should be.
Is it also true? Can you now sort your friends list by games they're playing?
Ooh.
I think that was included
so.
in the
I like
update
that.
too.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
It's a pretty cool feature. And then out in the digital marketplace this week, Dungeons 3, which I hear good things about.
What, it's just called Dungeons?
Dungeons 3.
Was there just a game called
There
Dungeons?
is the Dungeons.
Is there
Dungeons
Dungeons
2?
2?
Yep.
Okay.
And
It
Dungeons
appears
3.
to be a Diablo-esque, like sort of a dungeon crawler.
Checks out.
action RPG.
And Marty's favorite game.
I don't want to talk about this game.
Rogue Trooper Redux.
We talked about this. First off, we talked about this game for like 10 minutes on Beyond, and I was just angry. And I think Max and Brian were doing it on purpose. And then they're going to talk about MVC. This is a 17-year-old game. This is a completely forgettable game from 2000.
No one asked for this.
No one
this
wanted
is the classic like Deus Ex. I didn't ask for this.
It's based off like some Image comic or something that no one's
I'm
ever
happy
read.
it's back. It's my favorite game.
It's not your favorite game. No one knows this game. And I saw it. Brian was playing it. It's just this ugly blue man.
That's what it's
I can talk to Brian about it.
I've never played this game. I just know it as the game with the ugly blue man on the box.
Yes, it's 100%. It's just like terrible Dr. Manhattan. I'm like,
Yep.
why? We've had to talk about this game several times this week.
And why is it out in the heart of October
I don't know.
of all
I hope
time?
they make a sequel.
Here you go. This is the Redux. That's a budget price title for $25. Also out is a horror game, Decay the Mayor, for $10.
Yeah, was that what's just about like a horse?
Yeah, who knows? Find out if you're
horsing
if you
around.
dare. Also out this week is Realms of Arcania, Blade of Destiny. That game is apparently not good at all. It has an 18 on Metacritic.
Ooh,
so
wow.
please proceed with caution in that
Wow.
$40 game.
To be honest, you know more about the games every week than we do. Because usually I just make fun of the names.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
sort of our thing.
Yeah.
Wow. I looked him up on Metacritic. That's my research I did.
We appreciate it. Thanks. What about over Marketplace side? Games with Gold?
Yeah, the October Games with Gold are out. They include Gone Home, the console edition. I don't think that game needs much explanation.
No,
it's a very
free. Play it.
The less you know, too, the better.
That's actually
going
true.
in. Real quick, I'll take this opportunity. Steve Gaynor, one of the co-creators of Gone Home, is my IGN Unfiltered guest for the month of
cool.
October. The episode just published this week. We had an amazing conversation. I learned a lot about Steve. I know Steve a little bit, but I learned a whole lot from interviewing about his entire career.
Did he talk to you about doing QA on Daxter?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his first job in the industry.
And he was really into Fear. That
he did
PC
Fear
first.
mods.
Oh, yeah.
He did homebrew. Like he just worked on stuff and on his spare time, and ended up getting hired to make a Fear to work on the Fear expansion pack. And then from there to 2K Marin and BioShock 2 and Infinite, and then of course at opening Fulbright. So if you're interested if you want to get into the games industry, this might be the one. You should watch all the Unfiltereds for that kind of stuff. But this one, you can really sort of see Steve's path of how he started from zero and made it to the head of his own studio. So check it out.
Yeah, Gone Home is available for download all month long. And then what just went live is the Turing Test, available from October 16th to November 15th.
Yep.
Marty, what's the Turing Test?
It's a really good. It's a good first-person narrative-based puzzle game. It's sort of like Portal, like very much you're interacting with this AI and solving like room-based puzzles. Not as good as Portal because Portal's one of the best games ever, but for free, it's definitely worth playing.
Totally. And also, I guess you missed it if you didn't download it already. Rayman 3 HD was available from the 1st to the 15th. Hopefully you picked that one up. Yeah. And then finally, this one's a little random in the back half of the month.
Yeah.
Medal of Honor Airborne from 2007 is available. A game IGN gave a 7.9.
I think, yeah.
7.9'd it.
I gave it
Wait.
I feel like I gave it a 7. My memory says it was a 7.7 for OXM. So I think I was right there
Yeah.
with you
Was
guys.
that the last Medal of Honor before they sort of moved up into more modern
I think that was
times?
before Warfighter. Was that it?
Yeah.
That was the modern one where you played like the hillbilly.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, this was done out of EALA. They had a team down in Los
See,
Angeles.
EA giveth and taketh. They taketh Amy Hennig's game, but giveth
Medal of Honor Airborne.
Well, I was telling the guys at the beginning of the month what I remember most about this game, period, and remember it fondly from reviewing it is with the multiplayer, you'd parachute in, and you could basically like guide yourself anywhere to a rooftop, to meet up with some buddies behind enemy lines, but you could totally just get shot down. It added a pretty neat element to the multiplayer.
They were doing it long before PUBG.
Yes, indeed. Yep. All right, Destin.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
It's your time of the show now. Unlock Block Trivia. Here we go. So Adrian Glover is the kind, awesome Unlocked fan that sent in a question this week. His gamer tag is Twiggy. If you would like to be friends with Adrian on Xbox Live. He says, morning, I have a trivia question to submit, which I hope stumps Marty, hashtag Team Destin.
It's rude.
Adrian's great.
And it is this.
Twiggy.
And by the way, Marty is up 4 points.
I know.
16 to 12 right
I need
now.
this one.
With poor Alana, who's back in good health, but just stuck with on a big review this week, so she's couldn't be here. She's almost out of contention now with at this point in the game. It's at 10, so she's 6 points behind Marty. Almost a two-person race, but here we go. So
Marty's great at these trivia games.
Man,
it's almost like he does this at a bar
Yeah.
every Thursday. Marty?
yes.
Here we go. Mass Effect was released, as I'm sure Destin remembers, on November 20th, 2007. Its 10-year anniversary is about a month away. He's got that smirk. He's got that look in his eye right now. What other game series launched on that day? We talk about October 27th of this year being a enormous day, and not just gaming, but pop culture. November 20th, kind of a big deal in 2007 as well. So did the Assassin's Creed franchise launch on that day? BioShock, Rock Band, or Burnout Paradise? I'm going to go... Wait, so who you think you know it, Destin?
I think I know it.
All right, I'm gonna go Damon's way first.
All right, I think
Thought here, Damon?
Yeah, I think you can discount two of these options already.
Okay.
I know. I mean, sorry, I'm helping anyone. I
Don't
know
help Marty.
I know BioShock was not released in
Because we had the 10th anniversary party.
November. You can throw out BioShock, and I don't think Burnout Paradise was a series. I don't think there was ever Paradise 2, so throw that one out.
Living in a burnout paradise.
Yeah, which I don't know. It's tough between Assassin's Creed or Rock Band, but in November 20th, I'd guess I'd go with Assassin's Creed.
Okay. Marty?
Go with Destin.
Go with Destin? All right.
No, I know it.
I mean, I know it too because I'm planning all of our 10th anniversary features with Chloe for next month, and we were like, "Oh, crazy! These two games came out on the same day." We had that conversation like a week
Now,
ago.
now I feel less confident
Wait, why? Just because I know it?
because you know it for sure. I think I know it because this is when I started like making videos in 2007, and two of the series that came out. Well, Assassin's Creed and Rock Band and Mass Effect all came out really close to each other. I was going to do a review for Mass Effect. Turned out that game's really long. So I did one for Rock Band instead, and I think it's Rock Band.
Marty?
You're correct.
You are both correct. Well done, gentlemen.
Nicely done.
This is not. Look at how angry he is.
I really wanted to get ahead.
Well,
I totally wouldn't. Had I not been planning for those features, I totally wouldn't have.
Thanks a lot, IGN.
I'd like to go on record. I had no idea that Marty, I don't know what Marty does, so there was nothing fixed about this question.
I think AC came out
late October.
A little before it, because I made a it was the first montage I ever made was Assassin's Creed. I loved the first game.
Yeah.
How you could just like switch weapons on the fly, and he would do different animations depending on how you took people down.
You touch people's shoulders when you walk by. That's
I
kinda
should
weird.
know.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed is usually an October game.
Yeah, we
Most people
we had
love
a-
two more, but
We had a term at OXM for Assassin's Creed when it came out. It was the STS, shoulder touching simulator. That was its genre.
Yeah, great at touching shoulders. Yeah,
moving through the crowd.
yeah,
Remember Hitman did that too?
yeah. A lot of shoulder touching.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's very strange.
I bring that back in games. More shoulder touching.
All right. If you have a trivia question you would like to send in, and whether you're hashtag Team Destin or hashtag Team Marty, I leave that.
I don't need anyone on my team.
Thought I had this one, Marty. I'm a little sad.
Anyway,
need
send
Adrian.
your Xbox trivia question to unlocked@ign.com. Please include 4 multiple choice answers and note the correct one in your email. Let's go. I think we've had enough.
That's enough.
Enough.
I'm
We've reached
done.
the end.
They've had enough.
I want to start finishing every show with "My name's Marty and I'm done," and I just walk away.
My name's Marty, and I've had enough.
If your last name were Dunn, D-U-N-N, that would be perfect.
Boom.
But
I'm gonna change my name.
Sleva.
You can change your name. I think
You could.
probably.
Yeah, some paperwork involved, but I think you can do
I
that.
gotta do that.
All right, Damon,
Yep.
we know you, of course, but in the event the Unlocked folks might not necessarily know who you are, please, where can we find you? What are you working on?
I host another IGN podcast called Game Scoop that goes up every week, and it's a more general video game podcast covering everything from Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, PC games, indie games, retro games, everything.
Get that 20 questions going
yeah,
on?
got 20 questions on there going on.
Game Scope?
Yeah, Game Scope, which Marty is also very good at.
I was very good at I don't know what happened the last episode of GameScope.
Savant.
Yeah.
over there. Yeah.
I think I could never be on again. I peaked.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah.
Drop the money.
Cash out.
Yeah.
He's done.
I'm done.
Where can we find you on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter at Dame0.
Love it. Destin.
Yeah. I'm heading to TwitchCon this weekend. I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm doing some coverage for IGN. I'm also going to be
Where
checking
is
out a bunch
TwitchCon
of
this
panels.
year?
It's in LA at a convention center. I can't remember which one.
The LA Convention Center?
I don't know. I don't think
So, like, where E3 is?
No.
All right, we're gonna stop pressing you.
It doesn't matter.
I'm just going there.
Before you fly there, I'd Google it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it written down in my itinerary, but yeah, off the top of my head. Anyway, I'm going to be there. If you see me, say hello. I'm going to learn how to be a big Twitch star.
Yeah.
Are you going to be playing Mass Effect on the Destin channel from TwitchCon?
Mass Effect.
What do you play now?
I
Destiny?
play a lot of
PUBG.
PUBG, and there's a big PUBG event there, so I might
Oh.
actually compete in it for fun.
I'll bet Mikey Barrow is going to be there if there's a
Oh,
PUBG
let's
event.
go!
He's-
I've been
he's-
meaning to play with that guy.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
I
gotta hit
saw,
him
I saw
up.
him early this week. I was up
Yeah.
at Microsoft for a thing that you'll see next week.
Cool.
He super loves that game. Like we were talking about it. He's it's not a joke.
It's really good. I can't wait for the Xbox audience to get to play it also. A lot of people are like, are you going to play on Xbox? Yes, of course I am. I'm really
Well, you got that Xbox One X coming too.
Yeah.
So you'll be ready to
hopefully
go.
in the mail soon.
Yeah. All right, and that leaves me. I'm at DMC_Ryan. Again, I mentioned IGN Unfiltered, which is my little pet project around here where I sit down with developers for an hour to walk through their careers, because guess what? They're super interesting. Game creators are fascinating people, and we can learn a lot from them. So do check that out on YouTube or any podcast service as well. Otherwise, I think we're done.
Perfect.
For Damon, Marty, and Destin, I'm Ryan. This was Unlocked 318 already.
Wow.
And we will see everybody next week.
Bye.
The end.
Done.
Done.
Done.